Good morning. Welcome to Balls and Brews, Pod 34. Cheers, boys.
Dude, cheers and good morning. It is way early over here in Reno.
Yes, cheers. That's early tailgate pod.
Oh, man.
All
Yeah,
right.
so tell us real quick,
Straightforward.
Downey, before we get into the beer, why we are here so early.
Oh, UNR today game. I have season tickets and had season tickets since I've been a little boy. So tailgate, 1 o'clock game, so we get tailgate about 10. So we're doing this pod about 7. We're going to knock it out, and then
I'm going to go support the boys.
I'm going to tailgate. These boys are going to go watch some of these epic college football games.
Now that's a fandom right there, boy. Lifelong Nevada fan.
But,
Let me get some
dude,
of
this,
that.
what are we drinking, Chuck? This beer is good.
This
It's
beer right
straightforward.
here is local Reno, Nevada shout out from the Depot. They make a lot of good beers, to be fair. This one is the Voyager. It is as straightforward of a IPA as you can get. It drinks at a 5.6, and it tastes like that.
It tastes like it's a 6,
You
7.
get hops. I love that floral though that comes from that Citra. Oh my goodness, it's so nice. Like it's not just hop. Look at the color of this beer. If you know anything about like IPAs, if you will, like it's a little darker, so it kind of
That's what I
has
thought, too.
more of that earthy feel rather than just that straightforward like hop. Like that punch in the mouth. The hoppy IPAs are like golden, basically. This is far more of a copper, which is great.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting when we were pouring, is it to be that more golden, and it is more that copper.
Yeah, it's supposed to have some honey. It has that color, but I get some grapefruit in there too.
I can sense a little bit of that. I don't disagree that it does have like far more of a citrus note than like
think it's
a
right
West
there.
Coast. Most West Coast IPAs do. But shout out to the Depot,
really
you
good.
guys.
Yeah, the
They
distillery
made-
as well.
Huh?
Did
they expand
I think so. I think they.
That'd be awesome if they did. No, they need to get this beer out there. They make insanely good sours and fucking really good barrel-aged beers. I mean, I know that that's not some of our flavors. You know,
I had a really good stout there about
There you go.
2 months ago,
but
3 months ago.
don't barrel age it though.
No, fuck no, I don't want barrel aged.
It can be done so
I
good.
did have-
Downey, I have brought you good barrel-aged beers, and you know
Yeah, I did have another good one. I need to take pictures of this shit.
Well,
Sure.
I had one on Tuesday at a
to
buddy's
the
house
ground.
after
that.
Halloween.
We're technically now we're influencers, so yeah, take pictures of your food and let people know what you're doing. You know?
After Halloween.
Live.
And we had a really good barrel age, and it wasn't. And I was waiting for that like kick in the nuts,
pants.
and there wasn't. So I don't remember what it was. I'm sorry, listeners, but it was really good. I will start taking pictures of this shit because will have a random sometimes at somebody else's
We
house.
need to know the
Pick it up
randoms,
for the
no
next
doubt.
pod.
Let's tame some strange.
But let's get into the beer question. So I was talking to somebody, and they said, "Have you ever had a Guinness mixed with a Red Bull?" And I said, "What do you mean? Like you drop it in?"
What
They
does
say,
that
"No."
even mean?
They say no. You like float it. You pour the Red Bull in, and then you float the Guinness. Like if you would do a Guinness in a cider, so it like sits.
Why would
They
you
say it's supposed to be like a sweet tart or something. Have you guys ever heard this, or have you ever heard of an energy drink with another beer?
I've never done an energy drink with a beer. I've done black and tans.
Right.
I've had a Basque beer, which that's kind of a floater kind of situation as well.
Interesting.
So I mean, I'd probably try it, but I don't think I would like an energy drink beer. That just doesn't sound like my preference.
First off, it sounds like my stomach's hurting already thinking about that. Like mixed together, like I don't know about that. I mean, to be fair, just off camera before we started this to give me a little boost, I had an energy drink.
I mean, I drink them too, but
I
I
didn't
don't mix
mix
in it.
I didn't even
Like a
conceptualize the
drop shot?
idea.
Do you drop shot?
Right, yeah,
it?
you boiler making fucking Guinness and Red Bull, like oh.
No, but they said you pour it like you would do like a cider and like a Guinness.
Still, the object is to drink them at the same time, right? Like that's just bizarre to me.
I mean, we like our coffee beers, but that's not really mixed, and it's already pre-mixed.
Yeah, it's mixed in. It's like brewed with.
Well,
you
right,
know, right?
but brewed, exactly.
Yeah, it's
Beer
brewed
is
with.
brewed. Coffee is brewed. It's close to the same, like a roast, like a cook down, like an
Right.
age. That's all the same vernacular. Like Red Bull's made in a fucking factory full of all sorts of ingredients you don't know on the back, right? Like so.
Gives you fucking wings, bro.
So what a weird. 3 eyes in the wings now. Because do you remember that they got sued for saying Red Bull gives you wings and they spelled it like normally, and a guy was like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
Want some money.
Fucking people.
Fucking people.
Let's jump into some sweet ass fucking MLB talk, man.
Baseball.
I know that Game 2 and Game 4 were blowouts. One for the D-backs in Game 2, their only win. And then Game 4, the Rangers jumped on them on Halloween and kind of got to it. But every other game was really good. Even the last game. I know that the score at the end didn't look good, but it was only... I mean, Zach Gallion had a no-no going into the fucking 7th.
Oh, no, it was great until the 9th inning where they absolutely just cracked it open. And if you're a Rangers fan, it was the best thing you ever seen in your life. Holy
and,
shit.
you know, you're listening to the broadcast, and Smoltzy's like, you know, D-backs' bullpen's ready to roll. First sign of trouble. But then all of a sudden, how you don't get your bullpen up in the 7th inning when your starter's got a no-no, and then it goes... Seager has that little base hit through the left side, and then it goes double.
Seager was on fire, dude.
And then it goes double, and then another single, 3 hits in a row. You can't even get a guy up that fast for him. So Smoltz is like, dude, that was like the perfect storm. There's no way the D-backs. It was just a crazy, like, couple, like 3 hits in a row to get the run. Then you bring somebody in, and he shuts the inning down. So it's 1-0 going to 9th, and then like Chuck said. Dude, that outfielder comes running in to make the play,
my God.
lifts his glove up that much for the ball to go underneath because he's going to come up for the throw at home. Goes underneath his glove, 2 runs, and then Simeon hits a 2-run bomb to make it 5-0.
So their closer, Seawald, was actually the Mariners' closer last year, and I got to tell you, he blew that series, dude. You can kind of pin it on one. Like, he came in and blew 2 leads. 2 leads, dude. 2 out of 4 games. That's 50%. I understand it's a team game, but bro, like, you gave up hits, homers, dingers in the most important part of the games.
I mean, that's kind of how Texas is built, though. Diamondbacks, they kind of have to rely to get guys on base.
Sure,
Texas
small
just
ball.
had those home run hitters.
Oh my God, dude. Seager and Garcia. I wish Garcia was healthy for the rest of the series because he was just, the first couple of games, he was so good.
Going back to Seawald, he'd come into this series having like a point, like nothing
Yeah,
ERA,
he was
and then in this
crushing it.
series, those other 2 games, man, he had obviously Game 1, like Chuck's talking to Seager, and then
Game 5, he gave up 4 runs in the 9th.
and then Simeon got a bomb off him, a 2-run, but the error, you know, is at least maybe 1 run.
I guess it's technically not on him,
but maybe 1 because you don't know if the plate's gonna like.
Sure,
if
you
he
gave up the
fields
hit.
Right,
you gave up the hit.
If he fields it, we don't know if he's even to make the throw to home.
Fair enough.
So maybe 1, but 2, but then Simeon drops the bomb. So let's talk about
Rangers were really road warriors too.
Dude,
wow.
And then did
They
you
went
guys
in there
see,
and didn't lose one.
did you guys see the stat that when each team had scored
First, it was like 98%.
No, 100%.
It was 100.
The Rangers were 10-0 when scoring first.
Oh, right.
And the D-backs are 7-0 when scoring first. So when I was sitting there watching the game, I was going, dude, if this stat hates, and then the Rangers got to 1, I was like, holy shit. And Nathan Eovaldi pitched out of jams all night. The D-backs were 0-7 with runners in scoring position. And when you're down 1-0,
that's the most frustrating thing ever.
as a fan, just get fucking hit. Just get fucking hit.
You just
got
need
that
a
limit
blooper.
booty.
You need a blooper. You don't even need a good hit. You just need something in the field to play. Like
Luis Gonzalez won a fucking World Series
on
with
a
a
boop,
dude.
on a boop, just right past the third baseman.
But the Rangers get
cheers
their
the
first.
Rangers.
Just getting
So
off the
first,
list.
yeah.
I traditionally don't enjoy, Texas sports, but dude, getting off that list, and they've been around since the '66, dude. That's well earned, bro. Good
And
job.
I heard another stat too. There is like out of the last 10 years, 9 different
Yep.
World Series champions.
Yep. That's
So
crazy.
baseball's been pretty nuts.
It's been moving up and down.
That is true. There's
A
been
lot of
the Braves and the Nationals and
a lot of player
Astros
movement. A lot of player movement. They're the only team that breaks this. They're the team that breaks
That makes sense.
breaks the thing. Seager wins
At
MVP.
least they didn't get it this year. Thank God.
Fuck, they didn't even get to it. Let's just not even let them get to it. Seager wins MVP. 2 MVPs
Easy.
on 2 different teams.
Yeah.
I think we talked at the end of the year that Seager probably would have won AL MVP if Ohtani wasn't the
So
lead.
here's the thing now, right? Like, he's got to enter one of the best in his generation at this point, right?
Well, I
Like,
think so. And
how do you not with that resume, like
Well, and he plays a position. What position does he play?
shortstop?
That's
Which is
like
a marquee
the-
position as well. Like
So-
that's where Derek Jeter, obviously, the captain,
2 World Series MVPs.
on 2 separate teams.
Rookie of the year.
Right.
He's got Silver Sluggers. I got to look if he's got a Gold Glove. But dude, he hits over 290. He's a shortstop that's gonna have 35 home runs a year-ish. Like at the end of the year, he has 4 more good years. I know a lot of
you
people are
have to put him in front of Trout. You have to put him in front of these guys that are like, headliner guys as far as like.
I don't know if you can put him. Trout's numbers are outrageously.
How many playoff
But
wins
he's
he
in
got?
that group now.
But he doesn't have any playoff. He's only got 1 play. But
Then
he's got
sit
multiple,
down, young man. I'm
but he's
sorry.
got multiple
Like,
MVPs. He's still going to go down as the greatest to play the game, if not
the greatest ever.
He's the one. He's
You
up in the
think?
top 2 or 3 of the greatest.
Wow,
to play the game. Look at his
that's
numbers.
a statement.
His
man.
numbers are outrageous. Defensively,
Cool,
offensively,
bro.
the WAR numbers.
He ultimately
baseball's-
bums me out.
But baseball's more the epic team sport.
Golly,
Like you
man.
can't like just have like a couple stars like basketball and get to the chip.
Well, I understand that it's a complete rotation and that, like, absolutely, there's a lot of things that have to go right. There's a million games. Like, I get all of that, but, like...
I wish he would have went to a different team.
What a waste of a career, then. If you're going to tell me that he's going to end top 3 almost non-negotiable, then...
Non-negotiable.
He should have found his way onto a team 6 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like, does that go down as having great loyalty staying with the Angels?
I mean, you can take whatever you want away from that. I think it's Dame time now. I think now Trout, as you have proven that the loyalty has been there. Get onto a team that's making a run, dude.
Yeah.
LA ain't it. Like, Ohtani's got to go somewhere. LA, do your stars a favor. Give them a chance.
So I think overall, what's your guys' overall feelings baseball season in general? I thought it was amazing. I know that my team sucked, but I thought we saw a lot with like Acuna. We saw records. We saw just a really good season in general overall. I thought it was a really high baseball season for me, even though my team sucked.
No, I agree. I thought it was more exciting this year, maybe with the rule changes, maybe just some of the play that we've seen, but yeah.
Well, and I think this is an easy point to speak to. The expansion of the playoffs, which means more teams get in, which means you're carrying more at the end of the year because you have an opportunity to get in. And 2, the parity was fucking everywhere this year. If you look back at who we picked and who won, we were way the fuck off. The Mets nosedive almost right out of the gate. Sell off everybody. And that was me. That was me.
Too. San Diego,
I was
same thing.
Yeah,
I had San Diego.
we were all high on San Diego, you guys. And a team from the NL West made the chip, but it wasn't either of the two. It wasn't the Dodgers or the Paws. It was the fucking D-backs. So, and the Giants, up until the last 3 days of the season, had an opportunity to get in too. Like, that NL West was actually pretty legit. Which that's what I'm saying. We didn't think that was going to happen. The season was awesome with
even in the AL with the O's winning, and then like
oh my god, yeah,
that
absolutely.
wild card was super crazy. Look at the AL West. 3 teams to the last game had a chance to win.
Tight.
Yeah, the Reds kind of blowing up too this season.
So yeah, no, I think that it was really cool to see just not the traditional. For the first time in like our lifetime, the Yankees and the Red Sox didn't make the playoffs in the same year.
And
like,
the Cardinals.
And the right.
Wow.
No,
That's
an anomaly. That's so crazy. Think of those 3 teams that didn't make the offs this year.
Historic.
To that, and we saw history. Yeah, absolutely.
Lots of history with Ohtani, with
Acuna was a fucking monster. Yeah,
shit.
I mean,
Olsen sets Atlanta Brave records and RBIs and home runs.
Thumbs up to the MLB season, no doubt. It was not a boring season.
I thought it was amazing. Let's jump into another season that's been really good. It's the college football season.
It has been, man. It's been very, very tasty.
So last Tuesday, right? How was it? Halloween night that they dropped the CFP, or was it Wednesday night?
They do it on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
so they do it on Tuesdays.
So CFP comes out.
College football rankings.
Yes. Yes.
College football playoff. Yes.
Let's run through. We're going to run through the first 10. We're not going to run through the first 25.
Good lord.
And we'll talk about whether we agree or disagree after we get through 10. 1 Ohio State, 2 Georgia, 3 Michigan, 4 Florida State, 5 Washington, 6 Oregon, 7 Texas, 8 Alabama, 9 Oklahoma, and rounding out to 10. And I'll actually go to 11 and 12. 10 is Oklahoma, or 9 is Oklahoma, 10 is Ole Miss, 11 is Penn State, and 12 is Missouri. So all have big games coming.
Shout out Missouri. I know that they've been battling hard down there.
We're gonna
to be only 4 spots away from Bama this late in the season is actually relatively impressive.
Well, they get Georgia today.
Georgia.
And then
Here we go.
And then they get another big game next week against Tennessee. So Missouri has a real chance to make a splash here. I don't know if they'll get past Georgia. Georgia looks really fucking good. But what do you guys think initially of at least the top 4 and then anything after that.
So yeah, I think I'd have Georgia still number one, defending champion. They proved that they could get by without Brock Bowers, which has been like their main target. And damn, that team still has so much talent on it.
How could they not, right?
Ohio State, sure they have some talent, but I don't know. I don't know if they're really deserving of that one spot.
Basically, I think what the college football playoff committee did, Ohio State's got to win against Notre Dame and Penn State, and they're 2 ranked teams. Let's put them at 1. Georgia's only got 1 ranked win.
Yeah,
the resume does lean towards Ohio State.
Michigan doesn't really have a ranked win.
It hasn't been dominant. Michigan's
Florida State's got some.
Florida
State's got a better win, and if you're talking better wins, Washington's win against Oregon's a really good win too.
Thank you.
So why does the schedule come into effect there?
Right. So I think it only came into effect to put Ohio State 1. That's my opinion. I think it should go Georgia.
So you think they're just sniffing butt on that, basically?
Yes.
I just fall back to the eye
Everybody
test,
knows that I think that the first 4 should be Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, and Washington. I know that I'm not giving Ohio State the credit on their wins. They should probably be in the 4. But the way they look, I think all 4 of those other teams would have beat Notre Dame and Penn State more heavily. And then next week, we'll touch on it. Michigan does play Penn State next week, and I bet Michigan rolls.
So I'm pretty much with you there. I might have Ohio State ahead of Michigan just because of the strength of schedule, but that's going to play itself out regardless.
Correct. It's playing itself out in the next 2-3 weeks, with Michigan having to play Penn State, and then Michigan gets Ohio State 2 or 3 weeks after.
Are they a regular season matchup this year?
They always are.
No. So then, I mean, that's going to be epic for the week of football when it comes to headlines and the viewership and all that. That's exactly what you're aiming for. I think that Ohio State does in fact need to be where they're at because of the strength of schedule. I unfortunately, as a Husky fan on the outside looking in, kind of bummed right now. But that's where
that strength of schedule. Come on now.
I feel that well, we didn't really play a lot of out of conference was kind of weak.
Doesn't matter. It's the best conference.
It is right now. No, I know.
SEC gets awarded for the best conference every year.
If we come out and we blow out SC, who's Florida State playing this year? Or not this year, but this week. Are they on a bye or who do they play?
Nobody big, I don't think.
I could double check on that, but keep going.
That could, in theory, if we bust the doors down against SC, which, if I'm being honest, I don't think we're going to, because this is the kind of game that a Seattle team just waffles about. Since we were just talking about this off pod, since we won that game at Oregon, which we had to, or not at Oregon, at home against Oregon, we had to come back to win that game. And since then, Penix has been good, but the team has been okay.
Mediocre.
Yeah, we've been just pulling it out, barely beating Arizona State.
You guys have played at people's
played up to the talent, right? Exactly. Go ahead.
My one thing about Florida State is that I think that
they do have a win against LSU. That's a huge out of conference win.
And I think that Clemson, when they played them, was ranked.
Right. They were.
They beat Duke when Duke was ranked. So I think that Florida State's
got a good resume.
Their resume is not bad.
They played Pitt this week.
I do think though most of these ACC teams, as this season wears on, are going to lose more games. It's going to make that look kind of rough. Duke has been losing games.
Louisville's at 14.
Louisville's all the way down to 14?
Right? No, up to 14.
Up to 14.
Yeah.
Well, no, they deserve to be higher, I think.
Well, they're right behind those other one-loss teams.
There's a lot of good teams that you talked about right there. There is.
But coming back to Washington, though, sure, I completely understand your perspective of being a fan that you really wanted to see Penix kind of grab that Heisman. He's the lead candidate. He could have. He could have
over the last 2 weeks after Oregon riding that high. He should have absolutely seized the country by its throat and then just ran away with it.
But I also think that speaks to the Pac-12 this season. It's just good.
Well, we saw Arizona knock somebody off. Every week we talk about
it's always competitive. It's always competitive, and I bet you if you took any of the bottom 6 teams in the Pac-12 and matched them up against the 6 teams in the Big Ten West, it would beat all of them, man. So, Trevor, to your point about the Pac-12 cannibalizing itself, I completely agree. It's unfortunate that happens every year, and without us. Not if we're just gonna mosey along the bottom end of the Pac-12 and not really make statement games when we can. Against Arizona State, we won by 6. We were down in the third quarter to them. They were up 7-0 or 6-0. We were doing nothing. We came back just enough to win that game, and I don't know if it's just not preparing the same way that we did for Oregon, or if these teams are just that fucking good. Overall, I don't have a problem with the top 4. They do make sense. All of them still make sense, and especially with the breakdown that you gave, Zach, of Florida State's schedule. But I'm hungry, man. I think we're right there. I think we could easily find our way in. And if it all depends on how they value that 1-2 matchup or 1-3 matchup between Ohio State and Michigan. Do they drop the loser out? Is it close?
Yeah, I think they have. If there's undefeated, somebody's going out.
I guess if Washington is still undefeated, if we can escape SC this week, and I say escape because I think this is a trap game. This smells of a trap game. You guys are coming from a couple of losses, the nation is down on SC right now when they were kind of high on them, and they're high on Washington. So let's stay the course, UW. Let's stay the course.
Let's jump into a topic about another top 3 team, Michigan.
God. I want to hear all we haven't touched on it. No, we haven't touched on it. There's been so much breaking news.
Connor Stallions is now
fired, right?
Well, I saw that he resigned, and I saw another report that he was fired.
I heard he was fired too.
So ESPN was reporting resigned, and Bleacher Report was reporting fired. So I don't know which one's right, but he's gone. So I want to hear what your guys' take on the situation, and then if we all have a different take, then we can talk. But I think we're going to be pretty close. So, what do you think, Trev?
Okay, this is some Spygate. This is some banging on trash can shit. You're allowed. You can steal signs during the game if you're able to do 100%. That. If you can 100%. See what's going on the other sideline. But to go to the extent, it's not just it's the technology too. They're recording this, so they have that to fall back on and replay to go over. It's not just. Oh, I think I saw this.
They match it with the game film so that they know that, okay,
here's the cue for this.
Yeah, exactly. So then what play ran? It's cover 2. So that, dude, it's
another level.
It's not like homeboy's walking around with a fucking composite book writing down some shit that he sees or whatever, and then you have to go off of hearsay. This is exactly that. This is stealing. This is the exact reason why these rules are in place.
And it sounds like the Big Ten Conference is kind of coming after them. They're having meetings. They're seeing what they can do. That's going to happen in Michigan this year.
It's crazy because I think in the court of public opinion, we all know that this is exactly what they're doing, and we're waiting for them to really levy punishment. But I think that it's very smart that they're going about it the full
because you don't want to drop it too hard at the beginning. And I also
you don't want to be wrong about anything. You want to make sure that when you lay down the final, this is what happened and we fucking know it. That's exactly what happened. Right?
Well, and again, it's the coaching staff. It's not just one guy, and it has nothing to do with the kids actually playing on the field. Sure, they're getting set up for the best outcome to play, but it's not. They're not doing that.
Do you think that it goes down that far? Do you think the players knew that this was happening? The coaches spoke on it? You think it was just literally the 1%ers at the top of the Michigan, the Harbaugh
has to know about it.
I've heard he was watching it. He was at some of the games, recording and stuff.
Harbaugh himself?
I don't know if he was recording, but he was definitely there. He was accused of
traveling to future opponents. God, dude, this is bad.
It's not a good look on the Michigan, especially when you're now ranked number 3, and people talk about maybe you might have a chance to be the team that wins it all.
How could they not?
This is going to be the thing that brings you down, because this probably isn't going to get resolved by the end of the college football year unless the Big Ten does something. The NCAA is.
I'm really surprised though that in lieu of all of the investigation and what has come out, that they haven't is there an exemption list the same way there is in the NFL? You know how there's the fucking non-injury exemption, the commissioner's list. Harbaugh so Harbaugh was already self-imposed,
but that was something stupid.
I'm not saying it wasn't
buying a hamburger for a kid.
Downey, the point I'm trying to make here is that he's already been under Big Ten investigation for something different. The fact that they're not just saying, Harbaugh, clearly you need to step the fuck away right now. You need to not be with all of these things in front of you.
Well, he can't.
What do you mean you can't?
If he comes back, he's still suspended in the NFL. Roger Goodell came out and said if something gets
Hey
levied
now.
if something comes down on Jim
That's a
Harbaugh,
big headline. Okay, let's go about
if
this.
something gets down on Jim Harbaugh in college football, if something happens, that same suspension will be held through the NFL. He won't be able to drop trial and just.
Pete Carroll's playing at SC would have been foiled had that been in play.
But
12
also
years ago.
With the with this whole thing, it goes back on the NCAA being just behind the times. Why in the fuck don't we have the green dot on the back of these helmets? Why are we not calling plays in from the sideline? This is like technology's been around for a fucking long time. The NCAA should be having the quarterback should have the green dot in his helmet, and the middle linebacker, safety, or whoever
you choose on the defense, right?
Then we don't even have it. B42.
I didn't even think of that. No, that's the easiest answer I've ever heard.
Where are we at? NCAA, it's just another example of the NCAA being behind the fucking times.
Weird.
And just not seeing the bigger picture.
That's a really good fucking point, man.
And it's been like that for a while. You think about like any of the stuff that the NCAA has been doing, like the way suspensions happen, they're always behind times. This is another example of the NCAA being behind the times. Yes, it's cheating on Michigan's part. They should get some type of penalty. Who knows what's going to happen? But we shouldn't even have to this point. There should be green dots on the back of people's helmets, and we should be calling plays in. That is fucking ridiculous.
Well, yeah, because it's not like they don't have the money to put microphones in a couple of helmets.
Nope.
Oh, my sweet lord, dude. The NCAA is another billion-dollar industry, if you will. Like
easy peasy. Lock it in, dude.
Easy peasy, lock it in.
I mean, the Michigan players still got to go out there and execute, but
Correct.
Is there like a suspension or something that you think they should be punished for this season?
It's going to come down to are you going to get Harbaugh? Are you going to take if you win this year? Is it gone? Like you know what I'm saying?
If it comes out, if it's 100% the truth, and what we think in 100, you fucking
they're going to take games away from.
All of it.
First started
I would say all of it. You basically erased the Harbaugh because you don't know when it would have started, right?
It's 2-3 years ago is what they have.
Is what their timeline in?
Yeah, I think
so. If you know all this, why do you let them compete this year?
Harbaugh was not very. Their first couple of seasons were not very good.
Well, he won 9, 8, 10 games. He just didn't beat Ohio State.
That's not very good by Michigan standards.
But he still, he still had the wins. It's the 2-3 years ago type area.
I don't know, man. I feel bad. I always feel bad for the kids in this situation because, like you pointed on, it's not their fault. They're there. They sign a scholarship or whatever. They get brought in and they get coached by the coaches that are in front of them. They don't, they don't do these things. They probably not even. They're like, wow, this is a great game plan. You know what I mean? I got great coaches. Like, unless you're like a super nerdy motherfucker who's like, they have to be stealing shit. Yeah, I'm getting out of here. I'm transfer portal. But they gotta find a way to close this out. They gotta get down to the nitty gritty. They gotta figure this out, and they have to hammer it hard, and they have to tell the rest of the fucking country, absolutely not.
Dan, I'm kind of curious to see what their transfer portal looks like after this season with all this.
That's a great point too.
Because there was a rumor that Harbaugh's extension was pulled back, and then he came out and said no, it wasn't. So.
No, but on the field, this is going to scare a lot of kids from coming to Michigan, and this will scare a lot of kids out of Michigan. Yeah, because
you might not be able to play for a CFP.
Once again, court of public opinion. It doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't matter what happens legally. Even if he's expunged of all of this, there will still be a sour taste in some people's mouth. That's like, yo, you were under investigation twice in 1 year. Why would I go and play for you?
Hey, this is going to leave a sour taste in my mouth because it's probably going to result in Ohio State getting better.
Fuck yeah. I don't like Ohio
State. That's chess, not checkers, people.
I'm glad that all three of us are basically on the same.
How could you not be? I mean, if anything, you guys, one of the reasons why we do it is because we're sports purists. We all kind of fall in line with, like, it's why we have a fandom section. It's why, be good to your sports. Stop cheating.
So let's jump into the next.
But take steroids and baseball. It's fine. There's a way better.
Next Saturday's games. You got another 5-6 matchups that are pretty great. You got number 20 right now. These rankings are this week's rankings, so obviously wins and losses are going to affect. 20 USC be at number 6 Oregon. I think Oregon's the best one-loss team. I think we all think that. Then here's another great game. Number 10 Ole Miss at number 1 Georgia. This is obviously Georgia's biggest test. They've had other ranked teams. They have Missouri this week, but this and Ole Miss, this is a big test. And I think I think Georgia's on the right path. Then you have number 18, Utah, at number 5, Washington. So Washington gets SC and then Utah.
Good, let's go. We need to ramp up. We need it. This is exactly the time you want to see that kind of competition if you are gunning for the top. Because we're on the outside looking in. So quality wins is what we need now. That's what gets us. That can leapfrog. You can leapfrog another undefeated team if you beat highly ranked teams better than they beat. That's the disposition, right? Or the
yes. The only thing that hurts is, not hurts. It helps you guys is that Michigan and Ohio State play each other.
And that absolutely helps us. And
then
before you move on to that, though, I just wanted to talk about Utah. One, I heard that Brant Rising's not coming back this season.
Rising's
done. He's shut down.
He's shut it. Yep.
And then there was one other thing I wanted to talk about Utah, because we've talked about the two-way player for Colorado, Hunter?
Travis Hunter.
Yeah. Utah's got one too.
They have a two-way player?
Yeah, I was looking at this.
I just don't know how I feel about that.
That's a lot of energy to expend.
It seems like, they probably limit the plays on the field, but they're still getting plays both ways.
I will say though,
Makai, he's both their starting safety and he is a running back as well.
It's 3 or 4 probably. Probably gets 3-4 touches, 5 maybe kind of. But
yeah,
that's not the involvement that Travis Hunter's getting. He's a WR1 as well. He's supposed to be a CB1.
Yes.
Well,
he got fucking flamed a couple of games on cornerback, and
the usage rate is still super high compared to
he needs to go to
players.
Straight wide receiver
or straight corner, one of the
right. Yeah, pick a discipline, but that's not going to translate.
But just to shout out Makai real quick, 41 tackles, a sack, an interception, a pass deflection on defense,
dude.
And then on offense, he's got.
Of course, he's
30 carries, 243 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns, averaging 8.1 yards.
Hey man, dude! Of course, he's a thick Islander boy. That's the only kind of motherfucker.
Receptions,
like
144 yards receiving.
That's like
and
30
2 more
yards.
touchdowns.
That's like 30 yards of fucking reception.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Holy hell, bro!
Good. So that's why I had to bring that.
Okay, that's a small shout out. We can drink to that. That's cool. That's the kind of shit you don't see a lot.
Yeah, it's different.
Next game on the list, number 17 Tennessee at number 12 Missouri. So Missouri plays good this week, fall down a little bit, but they get Tennessee, maybe can jump back up.
What if they just absolutely shock the fucking world and beat Georgia? Win these next 2 games? Win these next 2 games.
That'd be great.
Oh my lord.
And then the last game of the week, probably the biggest game of the week, depending on who your fandom is number 3 Michigan at number 11 Penn State.
I was higher on Penn State until they got absolutely fucking throttled.
They looked anemic on offense.
Great word. Love that word. They
Still
sure did, dude.
Michigan's best matchup thus far this season.
Absolutely, yeah, non-arguable.
There's
until
a chance,
they find Ohio State, yeah.
If they can, maybe Penn State was looking forward. You never know. It should be, I would think, a closer match than Michigan's had all year, though.
I do too.
Well, once again, so this is that moment that as a Michigan team, you've been hearing all this. You haven't beat a team yet. You haven't beat a team yet. You got to come out. You got to beat this team. You can't just come out and just waffle about and have a couple of turnovers and steal it. You got to come out and choke them,
steal it,
beat it. You got to come out and be the defiant winner of that.
That should be another great week of college football, though.
It's been a great season, and we're rounding out to the 3/4 mark, man. We're getting right there. It's getting really good. All of these divisions are going to start kind of clearing themselves up as the later half of the undefeated's got to start finding their way to each other, and then obviously conference championships this year are going to be fucking good, man. I think the ACC might be a little unbalanced, but outside of that, the Big Ten's going to be the Big Ten West is fucking trash. Trash. Oh my god, dude.
Let's jump into some NBA talk. And I hate that we have to start our NBA talk off with a shit lister, but James Harden.
Number one shit lister.
James Harden finally gets his wish and gets traded to the Clippers.
Woo.
The Clippers.
Because they had to. They had no choice. Yeah.
The trade gets real in depth with picks. I'm just going to throw out just some of it. Then there's some trade swaps and some other stuff.
I couldn't even decipher some of the stuff I was reading on the back end of that trade.
It's weird. like they got to trade Oklahoma City for an unprotected, get this pick. So we're not going to dive that deep. 76ers the Clippers get Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philip Petzoff or some.
There you go. That'll work. Just
fair
right there. Yeah.
And then the 76ers get Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, KJ Martin, a 2028 unprotected first round with 2 seconds, and then some other weird stuff with pick swaps.
2028.
Yeah,
dude, the NBA is bonkers in the back end of their
Future
trades.
So basically, you get rid of a problem in the locker room and get a whole bunch of old players and some picks.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. Like, yeah, you're not going to win the trade because there wasn't a market, but it was addition by subtraction.
100%. And also, you're positioning yourself to get veteran guys right here is exactly what you need because your roster is actually fairly young. So it's good to get these guys that can come in and play. Covington and Batum. Batum can play, man. Yeah. I've never been a huge fan of the Morris brothers. Oh yeah,
they're both. All of them are on the backside, but they at least can come off the bench.
He can give you some points for sure. He can give you 12 minutes, 15 minutes a game.
You said, the Morris brothers are bangers. They just in there to like mess with you. That's all
it's good. It's good because then what you're also doing is setting yourself up for understanding that next year you get to rebuild the roster. You keep Embiid, you keep Maxey, you keep Harris, and you get to essentially take those picks that you just got, and you get to, if you want to keep one of those veteran guys, sure, throw him a bone, he'll probably stay around, but then you get to go do whatever. Embiid, who do you want us to chase in free agency? We have 6 roster spots open and a shitload of money we can go and spend because you're the only motherfucker we're paying right now. Like, I think it was. Honestly, long term, way better deal for Philly than it was for LA. The Clippers are fun.
What are you doing?
The Chargers and the Clippers will find a way to just LA their way out of anything fucking meaningful. Apparently, it doesn't. Westbrook, Harden, with Paul and Kawhi. If this was 10 years ago,
it'd be a good roster.
That would be an insanely good roster.
It's an old depleted roster.
I mean, when it comes to basketball, it is about acquiring talent and. Harden's on our shit list, so we don't find him as really a piece of talent.
He's been removed from that MVP level for 3 years now, 4 years now.
That's why we like the shape that the Sixers are taking. But if Harden can, I mean, he wasn't as bad as they gave him shit for in the playoffs last season. I know he disappeared, but he's that. Embiid disappeared too. They had other problems.
I would say no. I know MVP and Embiid was not there in the meaningful times last year. I will agree with that.
I'm less worried about Harden the player and more worried about Harden the person, the locker room presence.
There's a video. Look it up of him coming into the Clipper locker room for the first time, and it is not the warmest of welcomes. They're basically just like, "Why are you here, dude?" Like, because you're pairing up with your buddies, like. I hate that shit, dude. One of the things that if I was like, why Charles Barkley or even guys like as recent as Shaq say these things about like, we weren't meeting up with people. We were out there to beat people. We're not, even if you're a buddy of mine, I want you on a separate team so that I can be fucking better than you.
Like, the table there, buddy.
Sorry, yeah. But getting together with everybody to just pal around to try to get a chip, the Kevin Durant fucking bullshit. Like James Harden's been doing this now for 3 teams. Like, I don't know, man. I like it far more when like Dame. Okay, Dame was the last of the Warriors on that, and he gave everything he could. Warriors just in the terminology, but he gave everything he could to Portland to try to get a team around him within 11 years. Gave him 11 years. That is loyalty.
That's different,
yeah, that is way different than a guy like Harden. Like, he wanted his opportunity in Houston. Oklahoma City gave it to him because they're like, okay, we have Durant and fucking Westbrook. Like, you're not going to get the opportunity here. And then he had his MVP year and then bitched his way out of there into Brooklyn. Then he bitched his way out of there into Philly and then bitched his way out of there. That's why you're on the shit list, Harden. But stop meeting up with people. It's better when there's 1 to 2 superstars. It's the Giannis, right? Giannis got his chip with Chris Middleton. Homegrown.
Being that Harden's on our shit list, I hope this is the last stop for him. I hope once his contract is done here, no one gives him another contract. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
Chuck, I know you want to touch on the in-season tournament that's going on that started last night.
Yeah, I watched it, and I think it's a little bizarre. I like it. in the sense of incentivizing regular season games for a sport that's been having problems with resting players and like your superstars basically playing like, you know, just a few games here and there, just enough. Like they also created a minimum, must play this amount of games to be eligible for awards. Yep. So the NBA is really falling down from you know, players like there's not Jordan played 82 games for 12 games 12 years in a row.
Playing
like,
hurt, taping your broken ligament.
They wanted it, man, and the guys these days just don't seem to be, or you know, they play more into the injury. Like Kawhi, you get 20 games out of him, and he's almost an all-star still every year. It's ridiculous, but the tournament came around. The in-season tournament came around. So the finals are held in Vegas, which doesn't have a basketball team, but that has to hint that obviously that's the way they're going, right? You know what would crack me up, or not crack me up, or maybe this does happen. Next year, the finals happen in Seattle. Anyway, it's $500,000 to each player for the winning team, and then $250,000 for the losing team. But it's in brackets of 4. Think of like a la the World Cup is how they broke it down. But if you didn't watch any of the games, there's these crazy floors. They paint them these crazy unis. So it's kind of a cool way to inject some different life into it. Where if like the NBA does it right, they know they're marketing to younger and younger fans. They're hooking the kids, and they're gonna have lifelong fans from 6, 7, 8, 9 years and on. It's what MLB does not do well. Correct. It's what the NHL never really has been able to do unless you're into the sport itself. Football is king, right? So I mean that just, you know.
But yeah, good on the NBA to draw some more eyes in.
That's it. That's the main goal, and I can't shit on that. Bring the Sonics back.
Yeah, I was watching that Warrior game last night, just staring at that floor, going, "This looks weird."
The fucking Nuggets floor was Boise State. It was full blue. Did you guys catch any of that? No, it looked like my hat, dude. It was blue with like a little bit of gold striped down the middle. Yep. Like, and their jerseys matched. It had the 5280 for the mile high. Like, it's cool. In that sense, it's just neat that, like, I love that the NBA just always wants to expand on like what they're doing and what they're doing well, because they're not necessarily changing the season. Those wins, losses still count towards the regular season, the regular standings, the regular all that kind of stuff. So, in-season tournament, and it's just, if you're a hype beast, if you're into all that kind of shit, those big bright colors and all different jerseys and shit, and like, it's fucking cool to just see that kind of stuff. So, shout out to the NBA. I'm very excited for this upcoming season, as it's been good so far.
Cool. We're gonna take a break, grab another beer, eat some donuts, and then we're gonna be back with our NFL.
We're gonna warm this house up real quick.
Yeah, our NFL segment, and then after NFL, we'll go common sense and fandom.
Whoop whoop.
Welcome back to Balls and Brews. Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Beer number 2.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, all right.
Do you smell that?
Yeah, it hits you. It's so fruity.
Wow, that's really good.
Wow.
Chuck, what we got?
You're gonna.
This is easier to drink than the last one.
Beer. Yeah, it's yeah.
And it's a lot higher in alcohol.
It's way better.
So, okay, what we are drinking here is so we've had Juice Force on this pod. This is Fruit Force. It's another run of the line of Voodoo Rangers.
Yeah.
From New Belgium, Fort Collins, as it were. 9.5.
Dude,
9.5 with a fruit punch flavor.
8:40 in the morning.
Off the smells of fruit punch. It's like,
dude, as soon as I went to drink it, it's like boom. It's like you got a Hawaiian punch in your hand.
Kinda. It's fruit juicy red.
It's very much so.
Right? Like though you can.
You're not wrong.
It like literally smells, and right when you go to drink it, you get that smell, especially when your glass is higher. It's right there, and it tastes like it too.
And I mean, it's a lot less malty, so it's a lot like crisper kind of mouthfeel.
That's absurd, dude. That's gonna go way down.
Look at the color of that, and it's delicious. There's no way that's
way too easy to drink.
Yes.
That should be illegal.
It's way too easy.
959s cannot taste like this.
At tip of the cap.
That's
New Belgium for real though.
Voodoo Ranger, baby.
Yeah, that line is pretty legit. I don't know. They range. It's nice though because they're not like Not all of them are fruity. Some of them are hazy. Some of them are regular. Some of them are straightforward hop. Some of them are double hop. Like, you know, they have a whole line.
It's one of my. I think I've said it multiple times on the pod. New Belgium is one of my favorite breweries, and the Voodoo Ranger side, or Voodoo Ranger, the whole epic center of Voodoo Ranger, everything they do is pretty good with that name.
Yeah, I mean, we've had Juice Force on the pod. That was one of my favorites, and so I had to try this Fruit Force. These guys, I think, have already tried it, but I hadn't. There's some more Voodoo Ranger I'm trying to get my feet into, or whatever everyone wants to say.
Yeah, absolutely check it out.
Get in.
So let's jump into the NFL stuff.
A lot of shit has happened considering we're not going to cover games. There's some trades, and your Raiders, come on.
I was my fandom after Monday night, I was like already set on just
shitting on everybody.
Bringing the house of hate. I was so pissed. My wife actually told me to turn the game off. She said, "You're getting too aggressive." I said, "Well, how in the edge?" She goes, "I'm not the TV. Turn it off." Because I was going to argue how Jimmy threw the one pick.
Yeah.
It was bad.
She didn't care.
So I turned
she
it
wanted
off.
peace in her house. I understand that completely.
I turned it back on later and
it was
cussed internally. But no, the firing of McDaniels legally need to happen. I think you hear the reports that Mark Davis had been having meetings with the top leaders, Max Crosby, Colton Miller, Devontae, Josh Jacobs, and assessing on what they thought of the locker room situation and Josh McDaniels in general. And I'm pretty sure that they all went in there and had nothing good to say and about McDaniels, and all of a sudden you hear reports of as soon as he's fired, the last couple of days of practice have been better practices. You hear the locker room is way, it looks like they're having fun. It's not just people like holding their heads down. So I think it's just McDaniels tries to bring the Belichick assholeian into the locker room, and that doesn't work. That you can't do that, and the players don't respond, especially if you're not winning. They fired the offense coordinator, which they needed to. And my big thing, and I know I'm going to talk about it in common sense again, is if you are hired as an offensive or defense coordinator or head coach, that side of the ball should be better almost not instantaneously, but you should definitely see uptake almost instantaneously. You see it when McDaniels, McVay, Shanahan get jobs. You saw the offense automatically have an uptick. Defense took time to catch up, but finally did to win. You see it with defensive coordinators like in Saleh and in DeMeco Ryans. The Texans defense is massively upgraded from last year. I know they drafted, but it's also the coaching. Robert Saleh's Jets have always had a good defense. When you are taken onto a head coach, and that side of the ball, if you're an offensive-minded coach and that side of the ball still sucks after a year and a half, if you go back to what the Raiders scored in the second halves of games, how many leads they blew, that's on. You can't put it all on Carr. That's also on play calling. That's also on, the offensive coaching as well. And it's not been good. And he was supposed to be an offensive coach. And we are the 31st offense. You have Devontae Adams. You have Josh Jacobs. Renfro doesn't even touch the ball anymore. A couple of years ago, he was an All-Pro. I think it was time it needed to happen, and I was happy it went down.
Yeah, I mean, New England doesn't create good head coaches really, other than Belichick. I mean, I guess their OC that they got back from Alabama now, he's been all right.
They always try to say it's a Patriot way. It's not the Patriot way. You know who was behind center? Number 12, whatever way that's supposed to be held on the screen. It was a Tom Brady way.
Yeah,
it was a Tom Brady way. I mean, look at what Bill's done without Tom.
Yeah. The resumes are not comparable. Brady went out and got another chip and was competitive, and Bill's been to the playoffs but hasn't won one.
Yeah, it reminds me of a quote I heard from Weiss when he took over Notre Dame, that they said they were going to be strategically better, and it was not the case. You didn't have Tom Brady. He's not making up for those mistakes. You didn't win anything going to that new place, and then you don't even have your own personality. You just copy what you had, or try to copy what you had, and it just doesn't work.
Not without a guy as good as fucking Tom Brady.
Right. And then you bring in dudes like Hoyer, and like there's other people. You brought in Brandon Bolden. You had a roster spot forever for no reason because he was a Josh McDaniels guy. Like you just see the roster moves, and the drafts haven't been great. So I think it was time, and I'm glad it happened.
Let's talk about your new head coach a little bit, though. Like, I'm kind of
Antonio Pierce is his name, right?
Yep,
Yes.
he's the linebacker that
Former
won those,
linebacker.
middle linebacker for the Giants. Won those two chips.
Yeah,
Both of them? He was on both of those teams?
the Giants teams.
I think he played middle linebacker for both of them.
He was on Washington before that.
Yep.
He was originally an undrafted free agent that's been in the league for like a decade when he played.
I thought he was a really good linebacker.
Yeah, I always remember trying to get him when we played Madden together because he was fast and he was cheap and he was one of just those guys that you can kind of plug and play with.
Sure.
And I'm kind of surprised we didn't put any money on the Raiders this week because I think that excitement level is going to be up.
And Aiden O'Connell starting, which is another mistake. Why did you start Hoyer against the fucking Bears? And his reasoning, I saw his reasoning, and it was awful.
But now you're playing the Giants, so this is a winnable game. It's not like you're throwing them out to the fucking Chiefs.
Well, that's why didn't you play him against the Bears? Like,
because he wasn't in place. It was still McDaniels.
Right.
No, I bet maybe Pierce would have. You don't know. You can't necessarily. But like,
so it's
McDaniels shouldn't get another head coaching job.
He
OC
shouldn't.
The rest of his life.
He will. I don't even know at this point. Look at that. You just named 4 guys that are difference makers on a team with a competent fucking offensive coordinator. Would be at least middle of the league. They were the 31st overall.
If you think about taking a top head coach, any top head coaches, and you give them a left tackle that's in the top 5 in the AFC, top 10 in the NFL, an edge rusher that you can argue is 1 through 3, a receiver that you can argue is 1 through 5, a running back that you can argue is 3 through 6, receiving core,
but multiple top 10 position players in multiple important, positions.
Myers and Renfro on a receiving core. Devontae Adams should be one of the top receiving cores in the league. You can give them a head coach that knows a fucking damn look at Aiden O'Connell or who the fuck ever. Look, Sean McVay, Mike McDaniels, any of those guys.
Josh McDaniels was bad, has been bad for a while. He needs to, if he's going to remain in the NFL, a coordinator or position coach.
He is only good with Brady. That's his only shining light. I had Tom Brady, so I was good, right, guys?
So you have chips. Don't get me wrong. Nobody can take those away from you. Those years did happen, but you got to know that this year is not that year.
Right. So let's jump into some actually the good stuff that happened on Tuesday. Trades.
Some trades.
Right now I got it alphabetical order. Okay. Buffalo Bills get a quarterback from the Packers, Rasul Douglas.
They needed that.
They get a 5th too with the 3rd. We're not going to go through all of it. We're just going to talk about who picked.
It's good that they needed that corner.
It was a good pick.
That move.
I still was looking for maybe another weapon offensively, like a backup back, but it was good at least to get the cornerback.
Yeah, with the injuries they had. I heard the Niners were in the running for him too, but the Bills offered more.
Lions get Donovan Peoples-Jones, a big time, like a big receiver, big tall, kind of going down. He's more like the running 9s.
I don't know how did you really think that impacts that team?
Maybe it puts pressure on James. My opinion is it puts pressure on Jameson Williams to start performing.
Do something. Do something in your life. He
hasn't lived up to expectations.
He's been real not good.
And then the Lions are kind of looking for that third option. The running back's been great for them.
Both.
Laporta, the tight end.
Laporta, that was a Downey pick.
He's a number 2, I think, receiver outside of.
He's a number 2 outside of St. Brown.
Yeah, he has to be.
And
he's
they
the
just
only
haven't
consistent
had that
weapon.
Third guy. I mean, they'll have a little bit of Reynolds, a little bit of
having such a game-changing tight end can be so great for an offense, though. It can change this play scheme.
They put Peoples-Jones on the outside. He gives them that real big receiver to maybe help.
He had some great catches as a Brown. It's not to say the kid's not talented.
And in Cleveland, that room was crowded too.
Maybe the best trade, the Niners get Chase Young, but I want to preference this. We don't know if Chase Young is a Chase Young of his rookie year. He still hasn't necessarily played good since his rookie year. So we think it's a good trade, but it might be just another dude that just doesn't do anything.
I mean, it costs a 3rd round pick, so if he doesn't become that guy or a semblance of him, then it's probably not a great trade. But on the surface, it's
worth a dart. It's worth a dart throw for sure.
If he is good, it's just a rental. We'll have him for this year. Hopefully, he's the piece that we're missing. if he's not good, then maybe, I mean...
Then you swallow a third-round pick. That's
you
what
swallow
happens.
the third-round pick.
That happens all the time in the NFL. Your third-round picks don't hit. Your first-round picks don't hit sometimes.
Maybe if you think you still see something there, you can re-sign him at a reasonable price.
Right. You don't have to give him a $200 million extension or some shit. You just give him like fucking,
I am excited to have him in both.
13 a year maybe.
On the ends, though,
dude,
man.
The Ohio State boys getting back together, huh? But like Chase Young, if he is healthy, I don't know, man. That could be. It's worth the dart. Way worth the dart.
I think so.
Way worth the dart.
I was even, not to take this down the Niners rabbit hole, but I was watching some plays that they had against the Vikings and some of the protections that they were using.
Right.
Where they were putting. Okay, they were always chipping Bosa. They would put another guy that would move towards Hargrave. Like, a lot of guys were getting double teamed. I was like, damn, like, 4 guys just isn't doing it with these protections that they're running.
And you weren't bringing any heat? You didn't
we brought heat on certain plays, but they really just had the right game plan for us.
Okay.
Ezra Cleveland, Jacksonville gets Ezra Cleveland, offensive lineman. It's nice to bolster that line. That line has been a little leaky for them, so yeah, another player for them on that line helps.
Yeah, we were talking about a lot of teams that could use offensive line help.
It's funny, yeah.
There you go. The Jaguars made it happen.
Yeah. I think this is one of the bigger trades. It kind of shows that Minnesota might be trying to actually do something. They go get Josh Dobbs from the Cardinals.
Well, I think that they're just saying, like, hey, we don't want to just fold.
Right.
We don't want it just. And Nick Mullins is still on IR, which is why they made it. Do you think they would have rolled with Mullins if he was ready to go? Yeah. Because, like, that's what I'm saying. Is Dobbs that much bigger of an upgrade than Mullins? Maybe a little bit more with his legs.
Yeah, that's
a little
what
bit
I was
more with his legs.
Maybe more with his legs. He probably has a bigger arm. I don't know if he's more accurate.
I am very interested, though, to see what Hall does this week.
Yeah, Hall will be playing this week. They
And
got
I have
him,
him starting.
Dobbs, Mullins, so they got a collection of maybe this could be enough.
Maybe.
And I mean, it only cost them a 6th-round pick, so not a big trade value play.
Next one,
Super smart.
Maybe a more confusing trade of the weekend.
This is the most confusing.
The Bears trade and get Montez Sweat, which
on
they're
an
gonna have
expiring
to pay,
contract. Exactly.
I don't know. And for a 2nd-round pick too, couldn't you just drafted a dude?
Exactly. Like, I know the Bears needed pass rush help. But this
not
isn't
ready.
a play you should be making.
Buyer versus seller. We
this
just
year.
talked about
Yeah.
This goes down as not common sense.
We just talked about this last week. Like,
Sweat's got to be looking at Chase, being like, "This isn't fair."
did you guys see the fucking statistics of the teams that have had Chase Claypool over their win loss since Chase Claypool has come in?
I heard that. That was real bad,
dude. I'm touching on that because he's by. Trade him. You got traded again.
So then you get the Falcons receive a D lineman in Kentavious Street. It's just another back. It's just help on that D line for the Falcons.
That's a name. That guy can play
from the Eagles. Then the Seahawks also made a big move. You guys paid more because he's got a contract.
Right. We're not picking up $9 million in the contract. We're only paying him the veterans minimum.
Leonard Williams goes to the Seahawks to bolster that line. That's a big move for you guys.
big move.
I think because this is perfect in the sense that we're not bringing him in to be the dude. He is coming in to be the best complement of what he can be, which means we're not going to stress him with anything. We're going to say, Leonard, what can you bring us? What do you do best? Because we know you're an animal and we can plug you in fucking anywhere, right? Like, so oh man, I'm so excited to see what the fucking Seahawks can do. Like, I don't think this isn't like life changing in the sense that he's past his Pro Bowl / All Pro days, but if he swallows up a couple of blocks in the middle of the field and then lets the edges get up, it's a good move. A 2 this year and a 5 next year, so little bit of extra compensation, but I like the move. I do.
And then next trade happened earlier in the week. Eagles get Kevin Byard from the Tennessee Titans and the Titans received Terrell Edmonds, the younger brother of the linebacker for the Bears, and then they get a 5th and 6th round as well. That happened earlier in the week.
Correct.
And then also early as well is the Chiefs get Hardman back from the Jets.
Oh yeah, that's already out.
Yeah. So those are all the ones that just happened. Those all happened a while ago. But so that's basically all the trade deadline was. So a lot of defensive line moves.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't see any receivers.
I really appreciate the full send on the Washington football team. They're getting what they can. They extended a couple of people this season. They should have an offense moving forward. They need to fix the offensive line as well. But like they're getting picks. They're trying to position themselves to get younger. Like I think
it's also a sign of moving on. Like
100%. They need to. They need to reset culture. I know that you hear that all the time. We need to bring in a new culture. In that situation, that is exactly what they need. New ownership group. Like, I don't want to shit on Ron Rivera. I think overall he's been a very good head coach, and he's done a lot with a little up in Washington.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
But as of late, it's not.
But he's going to get let go. He'll make it through the season, but he'll get let go.
Yeah,
they're going to want to make a splash move.
They kind of steadied the ship with all that nonsense.
Right,
from the
exactly.
But yeah, definitely, it just makes more sense to restart it.
Rumors broke during trade deadline that Washington might be looking to trade for Bill Belichick. Is a couple of rumors that popped. I saw.
What's that? So like, but
you would ask them what
we
the
just had.
conversation was.
We just had a breakdown though of like the Belichickian way, and like that's not the culture they need in Washington.
Hey, I don't care where he goes. I don't want him anywhere near me. Just as long as we don't do something.
I don't care where he goes.
Let's jump into standings. We're about halfway through the year now. We have no games that have played, so we're going to talk about standings since we haven't really been able to touch on that. Trev, why don't you start with the AFC East, and then Chuck will go NFC East, and we'll bounce back and forth.
Let's get it.
Let's do
Get
it.
the AFC first. AFC East is actually kind of competitive, more competitive than you think. Go ahead.
We thought it would be.
True.
I mean, without Tua getting hurt, the Dolphins are on top right now at 6-2.
Oh my God, he played how many games? He's played 8. He's played 8 games. They're not even questionable. 8 healthy games.
He hasn't been
Good for you, Tua.
He hasn't been hit much. Good job.
Good for you, Tua.
Getting
I'm
rid of the ball
happy
quick.
for you.
Good job. Yeah.
Following them would be Buffalo at 5-3.
Surging, playing some pretty good football
Here and there.
here and there.
Jets still hanging around at 4-3.
Hey,
Yeah.
that'll even out. I know Salah's been battling, but that'll even out.
And then, as expected, the New England Patriots at 2-6 at the bottom.
Oh God, that's painful, bro.
But,
We knew
kinda
that
thought
roster
it
was
gonna be
bad,
more.
but we thought the coaching would at least elevate it a little bit.
I think I had him winning 6 or 7. But Chuck, what are we looking at NFC East, which is actually another competitive? Well, at the top, it's competitive.
So, and what's great is the top 2 teams are playing each other this week. Yes, that is quite a game to watch for this week. Is Dallas Philly? We definitely previewed that last week. Obviously, that's still the headliner. That should have been flexed into the night game. Anyway, Philly at 7-1, right? Playing mostly good football. Still some things they can
Up and down,
tighten
kind
up,
of
right?
on offense and defense, but still getting the wins.
Getting the wins.
Dallas 5-2.
Big game from this weekend.
And kind of a bipolar team. When they're on, they're on. When they're off, they're bad. Like
They have been trending on beating the bad teams. Well,
Yes.
if you don't count the Cardinals.
what happened there?
That was just a blip. I'll give them that.
That's got to just be a brain fart.
And to touch a little bit more on this game before we move to the next, this was one of my bets for the week.
True. Good call. Good call. Yeah.
I don't know how much that you should be following our picks because they haven't been great as of late. I did win last week, but this week
You took the Cowboys, to get plus 3. Plus 3, yeah.
And the reason I did that was just because I feel like the Cowboys do have the team to compete. They haven't really put it together. I haven't seen the Eagles completely put it together yet either, and I thought maybe the Cowboys could catch them, or at least
division rivalry kind of thing.
With a division rivalry, keep it close within 3, hopefully. I did pick the Cowboys at the beginning of the season to win the division, so I think this is a spot that they can really, help themselves in doing so.
Oh, hell,
If they lose this game, there's no chance they can compete for that division.
You've given up your opportunity to control your own fate. They have to lose outside. You only get to meet them one more time, and they only have one loss, and you have 3. So
Yeah,
like,
and you cannot split with the Eagles if you're going to win that conference or division. But that's why I did that.
So then, 100%. Washington, the football team. I want to just call them. Can we just do that? The Washington football team. I love that so much more than the Commanders.
Do what you want, Chuck.
Thank you. They're at 3-5. Sam Howell's playing okay-ish. He had a really good game with Jahan Dotson last week. Like, they're trying to figure it out. Scary Terry's still good. Logan Thomas is actually playing pretty well. Like, Brian Robinson, like, they have talent there.
Yeah, you love their weapons. Like to see what Howell does with some more time to throw the ball.
There you go. Yeah, offensive line, get it right. New York Giants rounding out 4. But, it's funny because they came out 2-6. They came out and they were getting smacked in the mouth. And then they've been rather competitive these last couple of games. They had the fucking ugliest game against the Jets of all time. Like, that was a game from 1940 is what it fucking looked like. So that's your NFC East. Pretty predictable as far as like top versus bottom. You knew that was going to happen. The top 2 were just a question mark. Were the ones that you were wondering, what are you more a fan of, Dallas or Philly going into the season? But
you guys had the Giants a little bit higher than I did. So.
I sure did. I had them have like 9 or 10 games.
We'll talk about that hitting and missing later in our fandom.
Yep. Moving on to the AFC North. I mean, King of the North, this division, man. Whoever comes out on top of here is looking pretty. The teams, all right, starting at the top. Baltimore 6-2. They've been playing a little better as of late.
Yep. Fucking great game this weekend,
against
boys.
The Seahawks. I believe they're 5.5 point favorite.
They're 5-point favorite.
And that's in Baltimore?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Then following that up, we have Pittsburgh at 5-3 after their win on Thursday.
They've snuck on a lot
of
things
Such a bad brand of football right now.
It's going to even itself out.
It should.
That offense has been pretty bad, but that defense is...
Tomlin, dude. I just respect the hell out of that guy.
Me too. But he's my coach.
No, we need to get you to be the coach, Downey. When I sent that text, I was like, who do you want to look for this offseason? You're like, me.
Do we want to wait until we get to the Raiders for that, or you want to?
No, we can talk about it now. No, let's just keep rolling. We don't need to worry about that kind of shit.
All right, so next in line, both of the next 2 teams are 4-3. Starting with Cleveland.
Coming off a loss.
Deshaun's playing this week, so
Deshaun is back. Yep.
But it's all about his shoulder strength, right? That's why he sat out because he was supposed to have come back healthy through like 5 passes, 2 were picked, and they were like, nah, dog, you're not right. So they sat him for the next 3 weeks. You think that shoulder's right?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I guess so. I don't think his head's right. He never got enough massages to, roll out the knotted up muscle. Like, they won't let him have massages anymore.
And then the Bungles, right?
Well, not the Bungles, the Bengals. They are back.
They're back.
No, I think Burrow has re-announced himself to the NFL.
He looked so good last week.
The last couple of weeks, he has been dotting motherfuckers.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason I didn't have the Bengals in the Super Bowl is because the injury. We were wondering how that's going to affect them at the beginning of the year. I was kind of hesitant to make that pick, seeing how they looked early on. But now they're back, and I fucking love Joe Burrow, man.
I know it's painful how much I enjoy watching him play football. It's true because he's fucking Mahomes in Kansas City. God, I love watching that guy play football. But
I posted in the Discord a play in the Niners Bengals game where you see Burrow escape like 3 sacks and make this throw downfield, and I was like, God damn it! Like, how could my team not get him down? But damn, he's fucking amazing for making that damn play, dude.
Because then you gotta throw a perfect ball under duress. You just escaped the gnarly duress. Now you still have to get rid of this on a hairline trigger on the dot, 40 yards down the fucking field.
Probably the best division of football right now.
Yes,
most competitive for sure from top to bottom. Every single one of them still has a chance to snag the title.
Yeah, all have a winning record. God damn that Burrow though, man.
Yeah,
Niners
damn
had-
that Burrow,
man.
man.
3 of the guys had hands on him and couldn't do nothing about
God
it.
damn that Burrow, man. We can all stand behind that. He is so fun to watch. We are very gifted right now. I was about to say in the league in general. Yes, we are absolutely in like a new quarterback era, and it's fucking great because they're young too. We're not watching these old heads anymore. These are all dudes 3, 4, 5 years in. Like we got potentially decades.
What are you looking
He's a
like
bad
in your North Division over
Dude,
there, Chuck? It's
so
actually like
Everybody called the Detroit Lions, right?
I did. Well, I had the Vikings.
People were
so
a little hesitant just because they were getting so much love, I think.
Yeah, I was a little hesitant.
No, you guys, I guess if this is a foreshadow, I picked this division ass backwards so far. I mean, there's some football left, but 6-2 Detroit, they're looking very competitive. At least, they lost to the Seahawks and they got absolutely whacked by Baltimore, but I think that they've also won some really good games going into Kansas City, obviously opening night and winning that game. Like, it's not they can win a big game. And you don't wonder about them. So those games that they lost were, to also good teams as well.
Yes.
That's 5-2 and 6-2 respectively for them as well. So, it's if you lose to good competition, although they got spanked by Baltimore. But,
Yeah.
Mini at 4-4, and like we just talked on the trade exactly, getting Dobbs. So they're gonna ride Hall for this week because
easy schedule coming up.
you got to play the guy who's been there in the system. You drafted him, so he's seen the camps. He's played in the system at least significantly longer. It's not that
At
Dobbs
least
is
for this week, at least.
Yeah,
Well,
you see
right,
how he looks in game time.
you
actually.
can't throw Dobbs into your system 6 days after you trade for him.
Cardinals did.
Well, shit, they sure did. They played a bunch of fucking preseason guys and then got Dobbs and said, "Here you go." That's
So,
true.
I mean, that's reassuring if they do need to go to him if Hall
Yeah,
comes out
because he
flat.
will be. Well, yeah,
If
they're
you
gonna
get a
dress
chance.
him. They're gonna dress him. They're gonna have to dress him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then who else we got, Chuck?
Green Bay and Chicago, and Green Bay 2-5, Chicago 2-6. So just a half. But the butt of the division, like those are bad teams.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love, I was higher on him
Yeah,
than I thought I should have been. I guess at this
I
point.
think we'll all be taking some losses. In
Chicago,
our fandom.
I'm taking a big old L on that one, y'all. Like I was way higher on that team than 2-6 coming in, so that one's tough. I might have to eat that one.
Trev, what are we looking like in the very? I think you can call it competitive South. It might not be good.
It's more than we thought it was going to be. It's more than we thought it was going to be.
We all kind of pegged the Jaguars to lead that division, and they are at 6-2. Even though it hasn't looked how we thought it would, probably.
Win's a win, baby.
Tough football lately, but getting the dubs.
Yeah, getting the dubs. And
Stack them.
then it gets real competitive after that. The next 3 teams in the division have 3 wins. But the Texans are actually number 2 because they only have 4 losses, where the other 2 have 5.
Okay.
And that's followed with Indy and Tennessee. And neither one of those teams, I don't
played
think,
bad.
Yeah.
They played bad.
well, with Levis starting for Tennessee, they've kind of had like a rebirth almost, like that. There's a new energy. Even in that loss to Pittsburgh, Levis didn't really play that bad. He had an interception at the end when he's trying to come back and force it.
When he's fitting the ball down the field,
Well, 4 TDs in the first game. He didn't throw
Oh, you're
a
talking
pass
about this
in,
one. Okay,
in
yeah.
the matchup against the
Yeah,
Steelers
he was
because
just
they
trying
ran
to-
the ball when they got
he was
close.
just trying to fit the ball in downfield, make a play with no time on the clock. So
Yeah, but his play was still encouraging. It's
That's what the Titans need. They don't
Yes.
necessarily need to win games. They just need to see if Will Levis is the dude. Right?
so far he looks like the dude.
Second round pick, fell to the second round.
Mm-hmm.
what
So I mean, okay. So
this is a division that's way more
the
competitive.
NFC South.
Yeah.
I mean, really, but does it matter who even comes out of here?
No, because the Saints can't block for
4-4 is your division leader right now. 4-4 Atlanta, 4-4 New Orleans. There must be some sort of tiebreaker, so they're jerking each other off.
Whoa.
Tampa Bay at 3-4, like Baker Mayfield. They started out hot. They started out what was it 3-0? Have they
3-0
lost
or
4 in a row?
3-0 or 2-1.
I know they definitely started out 2-0. I think it might have been, but yeah, no, they were so they're leveling out quicker than Carolina. Got a win last week to go to 1-6, right? But Dude, that division doesn't make whatever. Somebody's gonna win it, and then the rest of the three teams don't matter.
I did pick the Saints because I thought the offensive line was better, but prove me
Yeah, I picked the
wrong.
Saints as well.
No,
I
we
picked
were
the
all-
Saints.
I picked them to go to the chip.
But we should also touch on.
I forgot. That's right. That's right. I didn't pick them to do that.
We should also touch on your bet this week because it was Carolina and Indianapolis, correct?
I think so. I don't really remember.
Yeah, it was the Colts. Yes.
I took the Colts to cover going
Two.
into,
Yeah, plus 2.5 or minus 2.5.
Yeah, going into Carolina to cover 2.5.
What was the thought behind that pick?
The Carolina still just isn't there, and I think the Colts play everybody so fucking tough. If
Minshew-
Minshew doesn't make any mistakes, I have the feeling the Colts will win by at least, and I just need the field goal. Minshew doesn't make mistakes, the Colts will win by field goal. If
Minshew gives me enough faith that they could win a game.
Well, he's like Fitzmagic.
That's a great comparison.
Is he going to go one way or is he going to go the other?
If he could light it up, or he could not do so. But he at least gives me the idea that it's like, all right, dude, this team has a shot.
And it's Carolina coming off a win, so maybe they're like super hyped, and I don't know if they're going to put two together. They're not. They're struggling, and Indy plays everybody good. So, win by field goal, Indy.
Let's go.
What do we got next, Trev? The AFC West.
Yeah.
So
Kind of how we thought it would be at the top, but I think that it's
KC lead in at 6-2.
big game this weekend.
Dude, Miami, that's a game worth waking up for.
If
y'all.
KC can't find a receiver to start stepping up, they might be in trouble.
Yeah, they really don't have another weapon outside of Kelsey. Like the wide receivers haven't been reliable. They get Mecole Hardman back. You would hope for more from.
But
the
he's
other
never
receivers.
been a traditional down the field, like
Rice-
you know.
He wasn't one when he was there. He
Right,
was
not even
better.
close. He was like a 3.
Rice had drops last week. Sky Moore's been having a bunch of drops.
No, they've got
Moore
the
hasn't looked
Butterfingers
good.
down there in Kansas
Rice
City.
being the
dude.
rookie, I think he's might have looked the best out of the next
Yeah.
possible second option. And then after him, or after the Chiefs, we have the Chargers at 3-4.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know good after that.
after that we got the 2, 3, and 5 teams, the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver
Which
Broncos.
is so fucking irritating because when you watch them and you're like, you see the players and then they lose these close games. I think Patrick Graham's done a better job defensively. That you should have beat the Steelers. You should have beat the motherfucking Bears. That would give you a week 5-3, but you'd be 5-3, and those are two games you should have won.
Could have been second in that division.
It's so fucking.
I should have beaten the Bengals. I should be
so,
6-1.
That's why it's so frustrating to watch because you at least you guys kind of perform like your coaches perform. Our players perform on the defense side of the ball, and then offensively we're being held back by a shitty ass head coach and offensive coordinator.
So I looked up because we've been touching on our bets. We blew past my bet, which it's all good. I didn't even think because I had to go back and remember it as well. I think this is a good bet. I'm getting 3.5 points for the Commanders going into New England. We just talked about how not great New England has been, and I think that Washington has played well enough to prove to me that if you're going to give them points, they should be able to cover that, if not win that game. I think they're going to win the game. So.
It's just sometimes you get those weird NFLs where the Patriots
that's why betting is fucking stupid anyway, because you have to know the NFL. You have to get the predictable games right, and that's not always how it works.
So Chuck, why don't you finish on the NFC West?
Only the best division in football. So
I
do get to celebrate this one a little bit, and it's not that we're in first. We're up by a half game. Seattle's in front because they have one less loss than San Francisco, who's on a 3-game slide.
But on a bye, coming back strong.
Gotta get healthy. Gotta get Williams back. Gotta get Debo back. There's pieces that they've been missing. So.
Chase Young and
the Niners are gonna push. There's still a lot of football left. So 5-2 Seahawks, 5-3 Niners, and then the Rams are competitive in the overall. They're gonna be aiming for a wild card, obviously, at 3-5.
Don't think they'll get there, but man,
because Stafford has a thumb injury, right?
Yeah,
but
they have played really well with the pieces, which has got to be exciting because they got a lot of young pieces.
They're the youngest team in the league.
Yeah.
Actually, most of the NFC West is fairly fucking young now, with Arizona leading the charge at 1-6 in the back of the pack.
Yeah,
but
my
they're
team's
getting younger
probably
too.
the closest to the older.
You are the older team in the NFC West for sure. But Go ahead.
Halfway through the season, that's our standings. I mean, there's some divisions that are tight, and there's some that are kind
Very
of
predictable. Some went exactly the way that we thought, and others are like, wow.
So I got the games for next week. So we still have Sunday coming tomorrow, but then games to look forward to
Week
next
10.
Sunday. Yes.
Week 10.
Kind of another rough slate, boys.
Oh.
Another rough slate. First, I want to touch on Saints Vikings 4-4, and the only reason I picked that out is because if Vikings and Saints both win this weekend, then you get another 5-4 matchup that has a lot of implications, wild card wise for Vikings and division for Saints.
Yep.
The biggest game right now, I think, of the week might be Trev's game. Niners coming off a bye going into Jacksonville.
Jags.
That's a big game for the Jags to try to see what they are with the top of the league, and I think it's a big game for the Niners just to see what they're going to come back off the bye at.
Jags coming off a bye too, aren't they?
No, I don't know who they play this week. I don't think they have a big
The Jags have already had their bye.
Yeah,
You're right.
Jags had their bye. Next big game of the week, Browns-Ravens.
Yes.
Browns get a win this week and go to 5-3. Even if they don't get a win, they're at 4-4. It's still big because in division, and it's just to see if what the Ravens. It's another big game for the Ravens. I think the Ravens got to keep just showing out.
Well, yeah,
Well,
because
that
they're not
division
going
you
to
can't
win.
afford to
Well, they're
lose.
not going to win this week, so you know.
Well, why didn't you take that a bet then?
After that,
I should cover 5. God damn it.
after that, you can maybe say Lions Chargers depending on how the Chargers play this week.
Dude, come on, LA, figure it out. That's one of those teams that like
Let's go Lions.
There it is. There it is.
I want Herbert to play good, but I
Fuck
want them
them.
to lose.
Yeah, there is.
Staley
What does that
out.
mean?
Because I like Herbert, but I don't like Staley. So if they lose,
Staley's gone at the end of the year, right?
And
Like they're
With the
not
way it's
competing
going,
for the AFC
unless
West.
they
They're
challenge for a wild card.
And then honestly, after that, boys, they're really
We
isn't
dry
any other
up.
games. Seahawks Commanders are the Sunday night, and Monday night is
That's
the
the
Broncos
Sunday
Bills.
nighter. I knew that we were playing them that day.
And the Broncos and Bills are the Monday night. So
Why would that
Some of
be our
these games
Sunday
should
night?
be moved.
Why would that be that doesn't? That's weird.
oh
With
wait,
all
no,
the
that's
good
not the Sunday night.
with all the
There is
good
no Sunday
matchups, with all the good matchups that's going
night.
on.
Wait, there
like,
is no Sunday night.
there has to be a Sunday night.
Oh, it's Raiders Jets.
Raiders Jets.
And never mind.
That's a
How?
worse matchup than the
Never
Seahawks
mind.
Commanders.
Never mind. There is no Sunday night.
What just
There is-
happened?
Well, because it was supposed to be Aaron Rodgers versus. That's why.
Yeah, but things have changed.
Wow.
So they need to flex.
Flex.
It. So we'll see what happens.
No, yeah, because they have a rule now that they only flex. It's like weeks 14 or like 13
Yes.
through 17 or some shit, right? Like
Yep.
it's not even the flex window is very small.
Correct.
It should be all fucking year.
Yes, agreed.
Like holy hell, dude, we got robbed out of a fucking great Sunday nighter last weekend.
I don't know.
I
I
know.
may. We're gonna take a break. Maybe have another brewski, and then we're gonna come back with Common
Tailgate.
Sense and Phantom Tailgate Pod.
Tailgate pod.
Welcome back to Balls and Brews. Cheers, boys.
Yep.
Obviously, we've changed.
Look at these
drinks.
cocktails.
Cheers, right?
The beer is gone.
So I would never in a million years would ever drink that, but I'm over here drinking a Bud Light seltzer, so I can't really talk a lot of shit.
No.
But I feel like water with alcohol is better than Coors Light.
I still drink it. It's all
I
good.
see that.
Let's jump into our common sense, and then we'll hit the Phantom. So common sense this week, since the Raiders fired Josh McDaniels in the middle of the season. Is it common sense to fire it, or when is it common sense to fire it? There could be a different perspective on each one. So what do you think, Chuck?
I'm always a little skeptical of the in-season firing because even if they're not successful, like you already kind of know that that's the way the season's gonna go. Like, what are you really gonna do? Like, okay. In this case, in specifically the Raiders case, it does scream in-season firing because it'd be one thing if you guys were playing under McDaniels and just losing, right? Like there was still that like he's got the locker room, like you're competitive, but you're like losing one-score games. Like you feel like you're on the cusp of something. This was like nobody likes this fucking dude. He's running you all into the ground. You have the 31st best offense in the fucking. You have the second worst offense in the league.
That's why I'm okay with in-season firing. Is the Raiders are a perfect example. if you
But
have
it's got to
a
be
lame,
that. It's got to be that far removed, right? It's got to be blatant.
That's what I was going to get to. If you have a lame duck coach that you know is getting fired at the end of this season, why keep him?
Why wait? Because you get a higher draft pick. Why are you trying to win games? No, I'm just kidding. That's a loser mentality. These men are not going to settle for that.
Yeah.
Hey, Devontae Adams, just don't do anything for a year of your career. Just take it off. Just work out for us and go out there and just put up 4 catches for 28 yards and don't win games. Fuck that. No, these guys.
One catch he had last
11,
year?
yeah, 1 catch. No, he was wide the fuck open. Garoppolo.
3 times.
Garoppolo.
For the touchdown that Garoppolo threw the pick 7 feet short.
God.
The 2 other wide open passes. Dude, it's not good. Garoppolo is also the problem, but that's also because he probably should have been brought in the first place.
To play both sides, though, like, Rivera is a guy I keep around and probably let go in that same situation. Bailey, we think should have been gone already.
You're saying keep Rivera, like, don't end season. He's not worth an end season fire. But yeah, no, we touched on that a little bit.
I think Eberflus should be gone. He had to fire his running back coach.
Do you think that he should stay through the season?
Nope, I think he's gone middle season because I think when you're like, you got to figure something else out as ownership. And I think that right now he's only holding back that team. He's a defensive coach. The defense is fucking bottom 5. Same thing with how we bitched, how I keep hammering the nail if you're an offensive defense coach. Eberflus should be gone too. I think the only thing maybe he hasn't lost the locker room. If you haven't lost the locker room, maybe. But I think you need to start figuring out other stuff with the team. And I think removing the head coach, maybe removing like a coordinator or two, or one of the coordinators, and then promoting somebody else to get a different flow.
And that's another reason I like the Raiders move is owning up to your mistakes as hiring those people, because you're paying like $80 million to
between
old
both
coaches.
Yeah.
But I think it's better for the team moving forward to get them out.
Well, because you're in Vegas.
Hey, and even
hire me.
I mean,
their profit margins.
I won't coach.
Profit margins have to be insane.
And they fired the
Vegas.
They fired the COO yesterday too.
The chief official.
So you can make me that. I don't need to coach. I'll just bring in a GM.
This guy's applying right now. Even though I think Pierce could be good at the position. He could have a Visaccio kind of role, maybe. We'll see.
That's the thing, though.
So then Davis, really do some soul searching here, then, bro.
Well, maybe go get
your next hire's got to be.
Maybe go get
can't miss.
Put a team together. Maybe go get like a Howie Long or a Tim Brown or somebody like that, and bring in outside help. Maybe Rich Gannon, who guys have like been watching the league because they're announcing and they're doing their play-by-plays or they're working
in some
for
sort of
networks.
position.
Bring them in, maybe.
Are any of those guys wanting to be coaches though?
No, not coaches. Bring them in and talk to them about like the next hire. Like maybe put together an informed team of like people.
And I think that is probably when it comes to these old heads like Jones and the Davis, all these families that have been doing it. The Rooneys are the only exception where they seem to stay within modern enough.
And then Mike Tomlin won that interview.
Sure,
like, he wasn't even their number one dude.
No, which and they.
And so since
we're
at the top,
since
we're at the topic of hiring, you asked me earlier. I think Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator,
Eagles.
for the Lions.
Lions.
Defensive coordinator for the Bengals. I like him a lot.
Or this guy right here. Watch the pod.
I mean,
figure it
fuck
out.
yeah. Dude, honestly,
but I think when you bring
can be an advisor easy.
But I think when you bring in I could totally be an advisor. Bring in a defense coordinator. Once you like the interview, the very next question is, who's your offensive coach? What offensive philosophy for you running, and how are you going to execute? Because right now the league, if you're a defense coordinator, yes, it's about shutting down offenses, but it's more about what you can do offensively to win. Like look at the teams that win. Even Chuck, when Chuck's winning right now, but he's skating by. When Chuck was winning big, that offense was putting up a lot of points. Like if Gino made less mistakes, your offense would be on fire with the running backs. And
red zone turnovers have increased over the last 3 weeks, which is not pleasant. That's a stat you never want to see go.
Defense wins championships, but offense gets you into the playoffs at least. So you got to start doing shit like that.
Well, to just add a little cherry on top of that is kind of what you're talking about is having your own identity and knowing what that is going in instead of piggybacking off of, oh, well, this is how we did it at my job where I was a coordinator, and that's what I'm gonna try to replicate. No, you gotta have your own identity,
And
you gotta be able to show that.
And I also think when you bring an intern coach in, like a Rich Bisaccia, and you win and go into the playoffs with what turmoil you had, I think you try to ride that shit out for at least another year.
I'm very surprised he didn't get an opportunity.
Same
the
with,
way that they ended that year, like for real. Though.
Same with Antonio Pierce. Like if he this year, if he comes in and say the Raiders should win this weekend, that brings them to 4-5. You get to that point where you either get to a wild card or push for a wild card. Like you get a couple.
You can absolutely push for a wild card.
Maybe
that's absolutely on the table.
I don't not like rolling the Patrick Graham, Antonio Pierce head coach, offense coordinator into the next year, and then you bring in a couple more pieces that you need because you lost your linebacker coach, you lost your offensive this, you lost. Bring other pieces in, but don't tear it apart. Let that momentum. If players play for the team that's in position,
well, because now you have defined evidence that of your decisions of trying to make the splash higher that haven't worked. Your in-house guys have worked. Your splash guys have not.
Correct.
It's time to pay attention to what's been working and what's not.
And that's what worries me. Jim Harbaugh. Dude,
splash.
I don't know
but
if that's
then once
work.
again, the NCAA, they're going to crack down on that.
Dan Quinn's been another name. I don't know if Dan Quinn could be a head coach. He's a hell of a defensive coordinator.
He fucking washed out at Atlanta as a head coach, coordinator again. And he won a chip with me, dude. I will forever be indebted to Quinn.
I like Gus Bradley as a defensive coordinator before we ditched the Rich Bisaccia area.
And once again, Bradley is a good D coordinator, not a head coach. He fluttered out in San Diego/LA.
So it's like it's the other people they throw around is the offense coordinator for the Dolphins. But is it McDaniels or is it him? You know what I'm saying? So that's where you start getting into that heavy round. You need to get research. I'm enjoying
McDaniel more and more as I see things of interviews and the realism and the just who he is.
He's a goofball. I love him.
He just seems exactly. Well, he just seems like a guy that understands that he can't let the pressure just mold him into this like fucking yes sir, no sir, Russell Wilson bullshit.
49ers missing some coordinators.
I think we're actually all on the exact same page of when we fire, except for maybe Chuck. Chuck seems like you're more on like
I'm more as
the
caveat. The caveat is the loss of the locker room. If you're still like Rivera's the perfect example. He still has the locker room. That's still a team. I don't know. The appearances. I guess that's true. But like, if you feel like that team is still at least attempting to be competitive, then it's not necessarily the coach's fault. But you can move on if the record is too low to where you're not going to be able to flip. I get that. Can I make my point?
No, I know. I'm not overlapping. I'm just
He's waiting. He's waiting.
Patiently.
But I think that the in-season firing has to be egregious. It has to be the Josh McDaniels.
I think that also we talk about losing locker rooms. Has Bill Belichick lost that locker room with what he has done now?
I think
where the younger crowd doesn't care about the things. So now this is like,
this younger generation's different.
I was pretty heavy on that they should let him go at the beginning of the year. It's starting to look more like that could be a more realization.
Yeah, okay, but you have to take into account with Belichick, you cannot fire him. No, you cannot. If you're going to let him go, it's got to be exactly. It's got to come out to the press that you guys both parted ways at the end of the year, 100%. Robert Kraft cannot fire Belichick. Nope. That's no. You just can't.
Something has to happen there, though.
Right, but and that is kind of a good, it's interesting to see what's going to happen there.
Also, I think in agreement as if you're that interim coach, that if things are working, you build off of that. You just don't blow it all up for that.
It's all about momentum. It's all about momentum.
There is a thing, there is a thing called momentum.
It is.
Believe in it. We just saw it in the
fucking
baseball.
It's karma.
We
just
saw it in the baseball.
You can't see it, but it's a thing,
man.
In the baseball playoffs, it happened. Momentum is real. It is real.
It's about the moment. Capture the moment. Capture that momentum. Momentum.
Let's roll this momentum right into some fandom.
Whoop, whoop.
So we're going to just touch on some bunch of things that we were right and wrong on. We all had some things we were good on, and we all had some things we were wrong on. I'll start. I will take a huge L in the C.J. Stroud. I didn't think he was going to be good, and he has performed very well so far in his rookie year.
to kind of stick with that, I think we were both high on Levis.
Yep.
We had him in our mock draft at the 4 pick in the first round because we thought he was the second, third best quarterback in the draft. Bryce Young flew up those boards. We were high on.
I was higher on Levis.
We were higher on Stroud, but we were both higher on Levis.
Yeah, I was low on Levis.
He was low on
I was
Levis.
low on Levis. I didn't think he was going to drop out of the first round, but I didn't. I thought more was mid-round, mid-rounders where he was going to go.
But when you watch him throw the ball, dude, and I was
he
talking
looks
about
composed.
Well,
He
it's not
looks
just
composed.
It looks so easy.
Right.
Every throw, and he's leading, and him and Hopkins have
The
something.
biceps. You see them biceps?
When you and your number one receiver have
drop your bicep fucking routine, Levis. Throw me an ad.
when you and your number one receiver have like a hookup, dude, him and Hopkins have something. Dude. He throws some pretty passes to Hopkins.
If you're gonna come in and your first game you give D Hop 3 tutties, that speaks to the idea that he is always open. Because I guarantee you, Levis was like, I'm gonna find me some D Hop. I'm gonna go in there.
He's got the big enough arm to get it there.
He has the big arm.
That's nice too.
They covered him up good in Pittsburgh, man.
They did, but he still hit him with some pretty nice passes. But
game.
he snuck some passes into
That's
Hop.
the only buddy who's fucking.
Chuck, what are you gonna go high or low on? I went low.
Man, all right. So there's honestly, to be fair, there's some lower lights. Is I guess what I have to touch on my predictions and the fact of like.
Just hit one for now. We'll come
one
back.
for now. Okay. I'll give a low, and I'm gonna give the ultimate high as well. Real quick. Is my real low is Chicago.
Yeah.
I was the worst off on them. I picked them to basically be second, I believe, in the NFC North, along with a 9-8 record, and they're not anywhere close to that. Like,
I'll take a win on that one.
Yeah,
While you're taking your low,
I do have to take.
That was me.
Whoa.
I am so sorry. I kicked the leg.
That
I am
one was
so
a
sorry.
motherfucking earth.
As I was taking a win, I kicked the leg.
Oh man! All right.
Sorry.
Ready?
Yeah.
I'll take a win on Chicago. Just a sneaky win on Chicago. Chuck, you keep your big low, but I'll take a sneaky win.
I mean, I kind of want to take a win on that division. I have the order right as far as how they're finishing and where they are now.
Right.
But I did think that the bottom would be more competitive. I have them coming closer to even. If I don't think that's going to happen.
I had Minis falling back, and originally that was like starting out. I was like, okay, they're 1-4, so they're on a 3-game win streak, and they're back to 500.
So if we're gonna stay in that division, I'll take a loss on the Packers. I thought the Packers were, and I actually want to talk about
another one I missed.
I want to have a sidebar on.
Sidebar. We haven't had a sidebar. Let's go sidebar.
I think that people that talk on TV and radio get lazy with calling defenses bad when the offense is horrific and the defense is out on the field all
the time. 40 minutes a game.
And I think the Raiders and Packers are two teams right now this year that get kind of put into that because their offenses
your 3 and outs are so high.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's a sidebar.
That's the Russell Wilson effect, dude. That's exactly what happened in Seattle on the back end. We couldn't sustain drives. Our defense was out there for like 70-75% of the game consistently.
So sidebar ended.
I like that sidebar.
But yes, I think that I'll take a loss on the Packers. I thought they'd be better. I still think they have talent, but I think that Jordan Love is not the guy, so they need a quarterback there.
Unfortunately, I have to fall into that same camp right there. But my high as of the moment, and now we are literally 1 week away from this changing, though, is that the Seahawks are going to win the NFC West.
Good job. My high is a.
I'm gonna keep it low.
My high is a low though.
Your high, what does that mean?
That I picked that the Giants would be absolutely awful,
Oh.
and you guys kind of were like, no.
I argued way more on the positive side.
I thought the Giants would be awful, and they are awful. The Giants are not a good football team. I'll take a win on that one.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't want to take a win on a good thing, but I'll take a win on a good thing. But I will take a low on the. I kind of hoped the Raiders would be better, even though I didn't think they would. So I'll take a low on that one.
You threw them a wild card, didn't you?
I did. Which still could turn out, but I will take.
That's true. There are still there's 9 or 10 games left, depending on if you've had your bye or not. So
correct.
So, I mean, I was kind of low on the Raiders. I was higher on Denver. That was a big loss for me. I thought Sean Payton was going to get that team coming up to speed quicker than it has, and that's been a big miss on my part. I mean, Atlanta, I was kind of high on. I had them second in the South, so with them.
Well, I think we all had them second in the South.
I think that they've been underwhelming.
I'll take a big win on the Jags.
So far,
we call
I'm
them Jags.
gonna ride that wave to the end. I think that
Well, then big win on potentially the Ravens. I want them to lose this week.
you guys have a big win on the Ravens.
Also was really low on the Rams, and that's kind of coming to fruition.
Yes, I think I was really high on the Rams, and I'll take a win on the Rams.
You and I were much higher than he was. He was a 6-teamer, and I think we gave him like 8 or 9. I think we went 8, 9. Yeah,
I almost had him in the wild card.
It was close. It was close because the NFC we didn't think isn't that stiff, right?
It still isn't if you think about it.
Sure. No, I mean football can football though, and you just get to the playoffs, right? Even if you're the 7th seed, you're in there. You get that next game. And who cares if we're on the road? Like, we're playing this week. Shut the media down because they're gonna say you ain't got no chance. Like, whatever. I'm in this fucking game. I get to play it.
Yeah. I think one thing we were all high on is that Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the league, and that has not changed. I think that some of the top quarterback stuff is starting to finally fill itself out, and I don't think it's really any different.
So fucking good, dude.
I think the only thing that's different is I'll take a loss on the Tua stuff. He's still upright, and he's a great quarterback when he's upright.
I was hesitant to jump on that the Dolphins too because of Tua, but with him healthy,
they are good.
Then I will take a win on that because I put Miami second in my AFC.
I didn't think that the offensive line would play as good as they played.
Quick question, because I had the Chargers missing the playoffs.
No,
did you guys?
I think I had them making the playoffs.
No, I had them missing.
I had
AFC for sure. I had them missing.
Because that was another team I know that was kind of right there for a lot of people.
Yeah, I had it making, but we're all right on Brandon Staley.
Staley, man.
We're all right on Brandon Staley, boys.
That's a win.
Hey, so this week, I know we're doing this Saturday, so we still have games we talked about last week. There's a lot of good college football coming up that everybody needs to be checking out. You literally have meaningful games from here on out, at least 2 to 3 this week. I know tomorrow. You guys won't hear this till like later in the week, but tomorrow you got like 5 meaningful games. The very next Saturday you have 5 meaningful games, if not more. Keep an eye on this. We're getting down to the end. NFL wise, got a couple rough slates here, but every game does mean something. You never know if a team can get a couple wins moving, turn shit around like the Bengals have. A couple losses here and there on easy teams too. Losses this time of the season affect NFL stuff. If you lose to somebody you shouldn't lose to, it affects you.
That's why the games we didn't even mention can end up mattering. That's why the NFL season, we talked about it last week. Savor it. College is the same way. You only have you have under 20 games. Period.
Take a look at Chuck's NBA stuff. He was talking about the courts. They did look pretty cool. So if you did time, take a look at the NBA.
Check it out.
It's kind of weird, but try to get used to it.
It's because once again it comes back to the marketing of the NBA is so fucking smart. What do young kids want?
Jerseys,
pop. They want shit to pop. They want like that's it. So
and there's smart. Plenty of interest too. Besides that,
great
tournament starting. I mean, Wemby's been fun to watch.
Yeah. Hey, shout out. That's true. We didn't touch on him at all. Yeah, he smacked the Suns twice.
Yes.
In a week.
Blocking shots that it doesn't even seem possible, like hitting them right before they arc because his length, his wingspan is ridiculous.
We just gotta keep him healthy, guys.
Sure.
Yeah, his frame is worrisome. I mean, if there's a Slim Reaper, it should be him.
But hit us up on the X. Make sure you watch us on Instagram for the bets, the parlays. I feel good about that, and also the brews we posted what we drank today.
We're on the comeback,
but also. Watch for your MLB teams. We forgot to mention this earlier. A lot of NFL or MLB teams right now are picking up options and not picking up options. So check out your teams because there's already been some guys that haven't been picked up at the end of your contract. So take a look at that kind of stuff too. MLB stuff's starting to happen.
Ohtani bidding war is about to begin.
Yes, the Ohtani
money is going to be thrown around this offseason. That is for sure.
Take a look, and then we'll see you next week.
Pod 35 up on the horizon.
Yes.
Cheers.